I just kind of wanted to talk with you all about the Shelter Rules Project. January 24th, 2007 was the first meeting, and I know all three of you were there. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about though was why did you all even want to be a part of that project? I mean, that was a big deal, and we were asking for a year's commitment into this. But really, yeah, what was kind of your reasoning behind going, yeah, I think I want to be a part of this?
I can start that if you'd like me to. I wanted to be a part of it because basically we were already doing it. We didn't have a name for it. We had some rules that we had written down on paper that we really weren't enforcing anyway, and the reason that we weren't enforcing them is because we didn't feel like they were necessary. And so the concept really appealed to me. I feel like the best way that we can treat someone coming to stay with us is to allow them to make choices for themselves, and so it worked really well. It was a great fit for us. I was super excited about it.
Yeah. And we were kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum, and you and I had a lot of conversations. We had this huge manual of rules that sometimes the staff didn't even remember. And we found ourselves in the dilemma of, if you have a rule and somebody doesn't follow it, there has to be a consequence. And really, the only consequence we have is to say somebody has to leave. And so if you didn't mop the floor, is that realistic to say, okay, now I'm going to make you homeless? So it really was about finding a better way to do things.
And I think that we were maybe somewhere in between, where we had said that we were doing this, that we were going low barrier and we were eliminating rules and had taken some really good steps to doing that, but we hadn't figured out how to do it. We knew that it was going to be a difficult thing to do, to be able to keep it sustained beyond just the discussion phase. But we knew it was the right thing to do, and we knew that there was going to be benefit of being able to be with other programs, to be able to learn from one another, and to be able to, have those informal times of being able to say, hey, this is the challenge we faced. What did you do in your program? What did you do in your program, so that we could take it back and hopefully make it a little bit easier for our staff to be able to implement. But basically, we knew it was the right thing to do, and we wanted to be, a part of that movement of making change.
Well, and I think that one of the things that came up in particular on that first meeting is the sense of we are in this together. We never came at this approach of there's going to be one way that all the programs have to do this. You all look different. And I think that as we in this movement with survivor-defined advocacy, I always thought about it as program-defined advocacy, where what is going to work for you, what's going to work for you, what's going to work for you. So I'm kind of wondering if you can just talk a little bit about just the basic setup of your program to show the wide variety of just the three of yours.
Well, my program is set up in such a way is why I think this is such a good fit for us even, is when someone comes and stays at the crisis center, they have an individual cottage that they're put in. We bought an old fishing resort and we transformed it into shelter property. And so when someone comes and stays with us, they have their own kitchen, their own bedroom, their own bathroom. It's their own little house. And so it didn't make sense to me to offer someone their own little house and then say, this is how you have to live in your house. And so some of the problems that bigger shelters that are communal living have, we don't have. And the fact that we don't have community meals, community kitchens, all those other things that create chaos, it doesn't happen for us. And so, again, I wouldn't want anyone to come into my house and tell me you have to go to bed at this time, or if you don't do the dishes, there's a consequence for that, and those types of things. I live there. And so to be able to foster that type of dignity and respect, I think, for the women staying with us and the men staying with us and say, here's what you can do, here's the space. It was a great fit. It worked very well for us.
And for Rosebrook Center, at the time, we were a 75-bed shelter and 20 units of transitional housing that this all applies to. We're now a 100-bed shelter, and it was important to be able to show that in a very large shelter, with community living, with shared bedrooms, that it was possible to be able to do this, that you could probably have, you can have the same results, and you can have a safe environment, both physically and emotionally safe, for adults and children who are residing in shelter, but you don't have to do it in a punitive way.
And we are, I'm with the YWCA, so we're part of an umbrella organization. Our shelter is in the same building as a child care facility, a number of other programs. So it's a little, there's some different dynamics because we're part of another organization. We have 45 beds, 20 bedroom units, but the congregate meals, congregate bathrooms, that sort of thing.